to my adolescence, I was making out with this girl in my car, and we were parked at the Virgin Active parking lot. And it was ironic that we were parked at the Virgin Active, because she was the exact opposite. She was a lazy slut. So anyway, we were making out, and it was getting hot and steamy, and one thing was leading to another. And she kept coming closer and closer, until eventually I heard her call out, "Oh, Kuben! Oh, Kuben! Oh, Kuben!" And then I said those three unforgettable words, "That's the handbrake." Nowadays, these new cars, they're coming with these push-button handbrakes. Sorry, ladies. And they're also coming with a whole bunch of things that we don't need. That's why the prices are astronomical. Like auto headlights. Like we don't fucking know when it's dark. So I was in the market for a new car recently, and all of my friends said, "Why don't you check out one of these Korean models? Because you know they're good value for money and they have lots of features." So I'm checking out this Korean car, and I said to the salesman, "Does this car have park distance control, you know, PDC?" And then he says to me, "No, this car no have PDC, this car use CGC for parking." And then glancing at his name badge, I said to him, "What the fuck with your accent, son dealer?" And then the second thing I asked him was, "You know, show me the CGC." So he points to a little compartment in the front. I open it, and it's full with 2 rand coins. So I said to him, "What's this?" And then he said, "For parking, CGC, car guard coins." But lately it seems like car guards are everywhere. The other day I just started my car, and a car guard leapt into action behind me. And it was weird, because I was still at my own house. I got so irritated, I put the window down, and I just shouted out, "Why don't you get a real job, Mom?" But you know who's more persistent than car guards? Beggars. I don't know if you recall, recently there was this beggar in Bryanston, and he had no legs, and everyone gave him money. Then one day some guy videoed him standing up and walking away. Firstly, that beggar was fucking sharp. And then secondly, a beggar approached me the other day in traffic. He had just one arm. You could see the other sleeve was just dangling in the wind. And I was about to give him some money when I paused momentarily. And then I said to him, "You don't have another arm behind there, do you?" And then he replied, "No." And then I said, "Okay, good." And then I gave him the money. In hindsight, that was a very, very mean thing to say. But I guess I get my meanness from road rage. Road rage that is fueled by taxi drivers. So recently, I just lost it. I reached breaking point, I snapped. I jumped onto the front of this taxi. And I looked at the taxi driver and I said, "You bastard taxi driver, I hate you." And then, I'll never forget what he said to me. He looked at me and he said, "You're drunk, aren't you?" And then I said, "How did you know?" And then he said, "I'm not a taxi driver. We're inside a Pick and Pay. Now jump the fuck off my trolley." But weirder than the things that I see taxi drivers do is some of the billboards that I see. Like the other day I saw a teaser's billboard. And it was very sexy. It was very arousing. I was obviously very aroused as I drove past it. And then I reached a robot not more than 100 meters away. And I see a poster on the back of this robot and it said, "Penis enlargement." And I was like, how did they know? Then I saw a billboard and it said, "International Award winner, Best Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, category 10 years and under." And then I thought to myself, this award is worthless. Because what the fuck do toddlers know about single malt Scotch whiskey? Those little fuckers will drink any cheap whiskey you give them. Then I see weirdly styled cars while I'm driving. So much so that I actually have some advice for the people out there. to the white guys, you can't make a fast and furious car by sticking that big racing wheel on the back of your Hyundai Elantra. Even if it is neon green, that shit don't go. And then to the black guys, this is actually a question. What the fuck with all those Ferrari stickers on all the cars? And then to the Indian guys, no matter how low you drop it, and no matter how big rims you put on it, guys, it's still a fucking test. And then to the colored guys, please don't steal my car. But you know what, weirder than the things I see while driving is the things that I hear while driving. You know, listening to the radio. I remember I was down in Durban and I was listening to East Coast radio and this guy calls in and he's like, hello, my name is Ronnie Mudley. I'm calling from Stanger Manor in Stanger, but I'd like to remain anonymous. And then listening to the radio here in Joburg, they had this competition where they wanted to see how well married couples knew each other. And the grand prize was a trip to Mauritius. So they called the husband first and they asked him a series of 5 normal questions. The 4th question they asked him was, when last did you and your wife have sex? To which he replied, this morning. And then the 5th question they asked him was, where did you and your wife have sex? To which he replied, in the kitchen. So they call up the wife and they got the husband listening in on the line and they asked her these questions. She got the first 3 right just like that. 2 more right and they win the trip to Mauritius. I was listening intently. So they asked her the 4th question, when last did you and your husband have sex? And she replied, this morning. 4 questions right, 1 more and they win the trip. So then they asked her, where did you and your husband have sex? There was a pause, and then she said, in my ass. I'm hearing you. Now, speaking of taking it up the ass, which is what's going to happen to us with this whole e-tolling thing, I decided to get some payback. So I drove into one of these e-toll centers the other day. They were obviously surprised to see a customer. And there was a large woman at the counter. I said to her, please can I have 200 e-tags? She looked at me like she had won a pie competition. They scrambled frantically to get the order. And then I pretended to answer my phone. I was like, hello? Yes, babe? 5 roses. Oh, you wanted 200 tea bags. And I left. Baby service. I do hope though when they have this e-tolling thing that they fix the roads, because the roads are in a deplorable condition. My friend the other day, he arrived late at work and I asked him what had happened. And he said he had a puncture. He was right there at work when he decided to use the back entrance and he said he must have just picked up some shit. So I then said to him, well, it's your own fault. And he said, why is it my own fault? I said, every guy knows. If you come in the back entrance, you're bound to pick up some shit. I myself hit a pothole the other day, and then I had an accident. And by accident, I mean I dropped my KFC sauce and ice cream on my lap. It was lunchtime, I was at work, so I had to get back to the office. And when I got into the office, there was a huge mess here. And so happened I run into this gay black dude that works with us. So this gay dude is staring at this white stain on my crotch. I never thought I'd say that before. And he then explained to me if I didn't want to ruin that pants, then I should soak it in vinegar when I get home, then fabric softener, and then wash it. So, being the cheap Indian bastard that I am, I'm not going to lose this good pants. I did exactly what he said when I got home, and sure enough, it worked. The next day when I get into work, I run into him, and then I said to him, you know what, thanks for the advice. It really worked. I'm surprised the stain came right off. And then he said to me, woo, everyone knows no one beats homo on stain remover. Thank you.